The smell of burnt bratwurst and Ashley's overpriced perfume will forever haunt me. It's funny how certain scents can transport you back to the moment your life changed forever. My name is James, and for 18 years, I lived in the shadow of my older sister Ashley's manufactured perfection. Our house in Riverside looked like it belonged in a magazine spread about the American dream. White picket fence, perfectly manicured lawn, and a backyard that hosted barbecue parties that made neighbors jealous. But behind those picture-perfect walls lived a family dynamic that was anything but dreamy. Ashley was the golden child who could do no wrong. Homecoming queen, cheerleading captain, accepted to USC. I was the responsible one who quietly picked up every piece that fell through the cracks of their carefully constructed facade. While Ashley spent weekends at pool parties, I worked double shifts at Mel's Diner downtown, saving every penny. I'd been there since 16, not because my parents forced me, but because I needed some independence in a house where my voice barely registered. At home, I was invisible. The one who did grocery shopping when Mom was busy with book club. The one who picked up Ashley's dry cleaning, filled her gas tank, cleaned up after her parties. My parents called it helping the family, but I knew what it really was. I was free labor. The warning signs had been there for years. When I graduated salutatorian and Ashley barely scraped by with C's, guess whose graduation party got the bigger celebration? When I got promoted to shift supervisor and Ashley got fired from her boutique job for showing up late, guess whose hard work got praised at dinner? I told myself it was just how families worked. Someone had to be the giver. I'd accepted my role so completely that I almost convinced myself I was happy with it. Almost. The day everything changed was Ashley's graduation party. Mom had transformed our backyard into something resembling a wedding reception. String lights, white tablecloths, rented tables. I spent the morning setting up while Ashley got her hair and nails done. When guests arrived, I naturally fell into my role as behind-the-scenes coordinator, refilling drinks and restocking the buffet while Ashley held court, posing for pictures. "She's going to be such a star at USC, Aunt Linda gushed. "And James, you're such a good sister, always helping out." I smiled and nodded, the same response I'd been giving all afternoon. The words felt like sawdust in my mouth. The gift ceremony happened as the sun started setting. Ashley played her part perfectly, expressing exaggerated surprise at each present. Designer purse from grandma, laptop from relatives, jewelry from family friends. Then Dad stepped forward with car keys dangling from his finger, and my stomach dropped. He tossed them to Ashley, keys to a brand new white Jeep Wrangler with a giant red bow. The crowd erupted in cheers as Ashley squealed and ran to examine her freedom machine. That's when Mom approached me with a small wrapped box. "We have something for you too, honey. We wanted to make sure you felt included." Inside was a plastic bucket from Dollar Tree filled with cleaning supplies. Scrub brushes, rubber gloves, discount bleach, and a handwritten note from Mom titled, "James's Chore List." The backyard went silent except for my heartbeat thundering. Then Ashley burst into laughter. Not nervous giggles, but full-blown, doubled-over laughter that carried across the entire yard. "Oh my God, this is perfect," she gasped, pulling out her phone. "The most practical gift ever." She snapped a picture of me holding the bucket. "This is definitely going on my story. Best little sister ever, always ready to clean up everyone's mess." Something inside me shattered completely. It wasn't just the gift or the laughter. It was the crystal-clear realization that to my family, I wasn't a person with feelings and dreams. I was a function. I was the help. "See, honey?" Dad clapped my shoulder. "We know what you're good at. Very practical. We just wanted to give you something you'd actually use," Mom added. "Something that fits who you are." Who I was? A maid? Someone whose highest aspiration was cleaning up after others? The rage that filled me was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. Without saying a word, I walked to the center of the yard and upended the bucket onto the grass. Soapy water spread across Dad's precious lawn. "From now on," I said clearly, "everyone can clean up their own damn mess." I set the empty bucket down gently and walked through the shocked crowd toward the house. Behind me, Mom called my name in panic, but I didn't turn around. I went straight to my room and started packing. Within an hour, the house buzzed with relatives trying to make sense of what happened. Through my door, I heard them rationalizing my behavior. Senior year stress. She's always been sensitive. Maybe the gift was a bit much, but Ashley's voice cut through all others. "She totally ruined my party over a joke. God, she's so selfish." Selfish. After 18 years of putting everyone else first, I was selfish for finally standing up for myself. I called Leo, my best friend since middle school. "Can I come over?" The words came out through angry tears. Of course, doors always open. Leo lived above his uncle's laundromat in a small apartment that always smelled of detergent, but it was filled with genuine affection. 20 minutes later, I was on his couch, ugly crying while he made coffee and listened, without trying to rationalize my family's behavior. "That's seriously messed up," he said when I finished. "A bucket of cleaning supplies? For graduation? That's not a gift, that's an insult. They genuinely think it was thoughtful, I said. Like that's all I'm good for. So what are you going to do? For the first time in my life, I was free to choose my own path. Over the next few hours, we mapped out a plan. I would move out immediately, find an apartment I could afford on my diner salary, and take online courses in restaurant management. I was already good at managing shifts at Mel's, and I enjoyed it. The next few months were the hardest and most liberating of my life. I found a studio apartment, furnished it with thrift store finds, and settled into a routine revolving around work and school instead of my family's needs. I picked up extra shifts to pay for courses, studied during breaks, and slowly built the life I'd never allowed myself to imagine. My parents' attempts to contact me became increasingly desperate. Gentle guilt trips evolved into angry demands, then threats about cutting off my health insurance. I switched to my own plan and found a sliding scale clinic. Each act of independence felt like shedding another layer of who they'd tried to make me into. Ashley's calls were the most manipulative. She'd start with fake concern, then shift into accusations about abandoning the family. They took out an equity loan to buy my car, and with rising interest rates, it's expensive. Plus, I've gotten tickets and insurance is crazy. They could really use your help. There it was. They'd overextended themselves for Ashley's car and expected me to bail them out. That sounds stressful, I said calmly. I'm sure you'll figure something out. Family helps family, right? That's what you always said. The irony was staggering. You're right. So maybe you could get a job and help with bills. The silence told me everything. 3 months later, my routine was disrupted when my entire family walked into Mel's during lunch rush. They looked out of place among our regular truckers and construction workers. Ashley's voice carried across the restaurant as she spotted me. There she is, my sister, everyone, the one who abandoned her family over a misunderstanding. Every conversation stopped. Ashley got louder, talking about how I'd run away over a practical gift while the family fell apart. When I pointed out the family was falling apart because they couldn't afford her car, Dad used his old authoritative voice. We sacrificed everything for you girls. This is how you repay us? What exactly did you sacrifice for me? I asked genuinely. Because I've been sacrificing for all of you since I was old enough to work. That's when Mel emerged from the kitchen, his expression dark and protective. This is a business, not therapy, he said firmly. Order food or leave. Dad tried his intimidation tactics on Mel, but Mel had spent 30 years dealing with difficult customers. I've watched this girl work harder than employees twice her age for 2 years, Mel said. Never late, never complained, always picking up extra shifts. If that's who you raised, you should be proud instead of harassing her at work. You don't understand, Mom cried. We love her. We want her home. Love doesn't look like exploitation, Mel replied. She's doing fine without you. For the first time in my life, someone was defending me, treating me like I was worth protecting. She's one of my best employees, Mel continued. Reliable, hardworking, respected by everyone here. If you can't see that value in your own daughter, that's your loss. They left in defeated silence, and I felt genuinely okay for the first time in months. Not because the confrontation went well, but because I'd finally seen myself through someone else's eyes. I wasn't ungrateful or selfish. I was a hardworking young woman who deserved respect. The real surprise came the next morning when Mel called me into his office. I've been thinking about retiring, he said. My wife wants me to slow down. Problem is, I don't trust just anyone with this place. He leaned back in his chair. I want to offer you the chance to buy this restaurant. Not right away, you'd need time for business classes, maybe work on financing, but I'm willing to help with the price, even co-sign a loan. I couldn't process the possibility. Someone believed in me enough to trust me with their life's work. Think about it, Mel said. No pressure, but the offer's there. I spent the next year working harder than ever, but the effort felt purposeful. Every extra shift brought me closer to my goal. Every business class gave me more confidence. Every small victory proved I was capable of more than my family had ever imagined. The day I officially bought the restaurant, keys in hand, was the proudest moment of my life. I renamed it James's Place, updated the menu, and implemented fair employee policies. Within 6 months, we had a waiting list of people wanting to work for us. A year later, on a busy Saturday, my family walked in looking older and more tired than I remembered. Gone was their polished suburban perfection. They approached the counter nervously. Hi, James, Mom said, her voice smaller than I remembered. We heard about your restaurant. We thought maybe we could talk. I led them to a quiet booth. The place looks great, Dad said, genuinely. Really professional. We're proud of you, Mom said, and for the first time, it sounded genuine. We should have been proud all along. We lost the house, Ashley said suddenly. The Jeep got repossessed. We're in a 2-bedroom apartment now, and I'm working at Target. She paused. We came to apologize, and to ask if you're hiring. I looked at each of them, seeing them clearly for the first time, not as authority figures, but as flawed, struggling people dealing with consequences of bad choices. We have openings, I said professionally. Kitchen prep, dishwashing, bussing tables, 15 an hour, advancement based on performance. Everyone starts at the bottom. When can we start? Dad asked, relief evident. Monday morning, 7 a.m. Don't be late, don't call in sick unless you actually are, and treat customers and coworkers with respect. As they prepared to leave, Ashley lingered. I'm sorry, she whispered. For everything. You deserved better from all of us. Thank you, I replied. It means a lot. Do you think we can ever be a real family, a healthy one? We can try, I said. But it has to be different. No more expecting me to sacrifice myself for everyone else. No more taking my contributions for granted. When they started Monday, I watched them adapt to honest work. Over the following months, our family dinners became something entirely different. We shared work stories, challenged each other to improve, and treated each other with respect I'd never experienced. It wasn't perfect, but now I had confidence to address old patterns when they surfaced, and they had humility to listen. One evening while closing together, Ashley said, I've been thinking about going back to school, maybe studying business or restaurant management. That's great, I said genuinely. I could help you research programs. She smiled, the first truly happy smile I'd seen from her since we were kids. I'm still learning the difference between real family helping each other and exploitation, she admitted, but I want to do better. Standing in my restaurant, surrounded by the life I'd built through my own determination, I realized that sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself is the courage to walk away from people who don't see your worth. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, they eventually learn to see it too.